Chosen one, the fact that you're seeing this right now means something in you has already awakened. Your soul responded before your mind understood. What if I told you they never wanted you to hear these truths? You weren't drawn here by idle curiosity. You were summoned to remember the words you swallowed to keep your light hidden. For too long, you've borne the weight of unspoken prayers, felt the sting of silence as a blade against your throat. But today, the veil parts and the echoes of every hushed confession rise into the open air. You will see how they have used your silence against you, and how reclaiming your voice becomes an act of spiritual revenge. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, for what you're about to learn will shatter the illusion of acceptable submission and ignite the power that has always pulsed within you. The words you were never allowed to say. Last night, as you drifted between sleep and waking, you saw a flame flicker in your chest, an ember you thought long dead. In that half-dream, you reached toward a book whose pages bore your own name, each line written in a script you could almost read. The air around you felt charged, and an inner voice breathed. You have always known the story. You woke with a quiver in your ribs, carrying the residue of that vision like a secret talisman. This moment is your invitation to step into the space where the words you never spoke begin to speak through you. There were times when you sat at a table of laughter and felt an ache knot your throat, as if your unspoken truth weighed heavier than the food before you. Perhaps a child hurt by injustice looked to you for comfort, and though your heart surged with righteous anger, your voice betrayed you. Or maybe in the hush of an office meeting you hesitated, eyes brimming, knowing the decision they made would break lives, yet you said nothing. In those quiet defeats, you felt so alone, different in a way you couldn't name, longing to articulate a deeper meaning no one around you seemed to share. That longing, raw and insistent, has never left you. Now, consider that those moments were never accidents of circumstance. They were threads woven into an unseen tapestry, each moment of silence a stitch in a grand design. In Lamentations 3 verse 17 it says, "My soul is bereft of peace. I have forgotten what happiness is." Yet even in lament, there is purpose. Your silences were crucibles, forging within you a sacred patience and a reservoir of untapped power. The universe was not punishing your voice, but preserving it until the moment when your words would see change the tides of history. You may have noticed lately the small signs coaxing you awake. A single line in a book that made your pulse quicken, a melody drifting through a cafe that seemed to echo your unvoiced prayers, or a dream replaying a conversation you never had. Sometimes you felt a thrill of recognition at a random act of kindness, as though your soul whispered, "This is what you were born to speak." In those shifted moments, you sensed that reality was no longer a blur of random images, but a code written for your awakening. Every déjà vu, every shiver down your spine, was a herald of your voice rising from the depths. As dawn breaks on this realization, your intuition stands revealed as unerringly true. You were not imagining the pull toward deeper authenticity, nor was that tightness in your chest a trick. You have carried an internal compass guided by a force older than memory, directing you toward moments of divine alignment. In this recognition, you discover a newfound safety in your own insight, an inner hearth where your truth can ignite without fear. This calm illumination offers a quiet assurance. Your voice has always been reliable, even when you doubted its clarity. Deep within you lies a memory, older than your earliest recollection, of a time when you spoke fearlessly and the world bent to hear. That voice was not born of words but of essence, an archetype imprinted on your soul. Now, as the dust of unspoken years settles, you begin to reclaim that primordial voice. It is not an act of becoming but of unearthing, of rediscovering who you have always been beneath layers of doubt and concession. In this gentle excavation, you find yourself whole once more, a vessel restored to its true resonance. Now is the moment of first activation. Feel the subtle stirrings of empowerment as you lean into the reality of your sensitivity rather than shy from it. Your inner wisdom, hardened and honed by every suppressed outcry, stands ready to guide each breath. Embrace the slow but deliberate step forward. Speak when your heart demands it, act when your spirit calls, and allow your hunger for meaning to become the compass by which you live. This activation moves at the pace of intention, each forward motion affirming the promise whispered in your dream. You arrived here not by chance, but by a call woven into the fabric of your being. Your life has been a prelude to this awakening, and your hidden words are the cornerstone of the next revelation. Comment freedom if you feel the stir of your voice breaking free from silence, and share a moment when you sensed your unspoken truth shimmering beneath the surface. What follows will guide you to wield your words like light, piercing through every shadow that once sought to keep you quiet. The next chapter awaits, and it demands that your voice rise without hesitation. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. The energetic impact of unspoken truth. A tremor of disquiet first stirred when you noticed how meetings you once led drew sideways glances, as though your questions threatened the walls themselves. Perhaps it was a rising ache in your gut each time you shared an inspired idea, only to have the room's energy shift away. In those moments, a heavy silence settled like dust on your spirit, an almost imperceptible weight that pressed on your chest before you even knew why. This subtle unease marked the first sign of forces moving against you, currents in the air rewriting the narrative of your worth. You sensed, without fully seeing, that something larger than circumstance had begun to conspire against the light in your soul. In the heat of that resistance, your heart learned to carry a quiet ache. When you reached for connection, you found your hand closing on thin air. When you spoke your truth, you faced whispers that questioned your very sanity. The loneliness of being misunderstood was a cruelty far deeper than outright rejection, because it left no visible scar, only a creeping doubt that whispered, maybe you are too much or not enough. Shame and self-critique took turns as unwelcome companions, circling you like vultures eager for a fresh offering. Every time you held back your voice, the shame dug a little deeper, convincing you that your gift was a burden too heavy for those around you to bear. Yet this emotional pressure was never a random trial. It was part of a hidden architecture designed to test and refine your spirit. Think of the Israelites wandering the wilderness, sustained by manna yet tested by scarcity and fear, their faith forged in the crucible of exile. You, too, have walked a path carved by reactionary energies, systems and people fearful of the spark you carry. In ancient times, prophets who spoke truth to power often faced isolation or worse, because their message unraveled the comfortable illusions of the status quo. Your own exile has been sacred, clearing away untested beliefs so that your inner authority could emerge unshakable. When you pause and turn back the pages of your life, patterns begin to stand in harsh relief. The project that collapsed at the last moment, the mentor who withdrew support when you dared to innovate, the friendship that soured when you refused to stay silent. These weren't random setbacks but deliberate tests, signposts you missed while you were still learning to recognize the shadows cast by your own light. Now, in the glow of awareness, those betrayal cycles look less like personal failings and more like guardians placed at thresholds, ensuring you were ready to claim the power destined for you. Eventually, the resistance became tangible, a fog of energetic sabotage that pressed against your aura. You felt it as a weight in your shoulders, a dull roar at the edge of your hearing, even on days when everything seemed calm. Doors you expected to open slammed shut, conversations turned cold, opportunities dissolved like mist. It was not evil personified, but a deflection impulse built into collective consciousness, an automatic defense to preserve the familiar by dimming brightness that threatened to outshine it. The air around you crackled with a silent conspiracy, a universal recoil against the frequencies you embodied. In response to this siege, your instinct was to protect yourself. There were days you shrank into polite nods, biting back retorts that burned on your tongue. You mastered the art of pleasing, of folding your edges to fit where you once stood free. Other times, you rebelled in private, scribbling truths in the margins of journals, dreaming of distant roads that would carry you away from the smothering atmosphere. These reactions were survival tactics, not failures. They reflect a soul learning its own resilience, mistaking self-preservation for retreat. Every choice you made, even the ones that felt like giving up, was a necessary step toward understanding your true strength. But now, the time for hiding is over. The very pressures meant to extinguish your spark become proof of its potency. This resistance confirms that your presence cracks open illusions and calls hidden wounds into the light. Like Jeremiah, who in Lamentations 3 verse 27 reminded himself that suffering refines the faithful, you reclaim each shard of self-doubt as a tool for forging clarity. Let the force that pressed down on you now fuel your ascent, as you step into a space of fierce remembrance. Speak your truth with a prophet's certainty. Let the echo of your voice dismantle the walls that once held you back. You were targeted because you are powerful. Every suppression, every act of sabotage was a signpost pointing to the magnitude of the gift you carry. The more they tried to dim your flame, the brighter your resolve became. Comment strong if you felt the shadow of resistance sharpen your focus and prepare you for purpose. Ahead lies the teaching on turning spiritual interference into sacred armor, guiding you into the next chapter of unwavering clarity and unstoppable action. And to every soul who's supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here. The echo effect in spirit and space. Have you ever paused mid-conversation, sensed the air thicken, and realized there was a message no one spoke aloud? In those suspended seconds, you feel a subtle tremor, as though the walls themselves are leaning in to catch a whisper you didn't utter. This is your first glimpse of the echo effect, the realization that your unspoken truth ripples through the space around you long after your voice falls silent. It's as if every thought you've swallowed, every prayer you never voiced, has gathered like a mist in the corners of rooms, waiting for you to become aware of its presence. In that moment, the haze of mundane chatter cracks open, revealing the currents of spirit that have been surging beneath every polite exchange. You sense that confusion you once felt, when interactions left you drained or unsettled, was actually your resonance speaking through the void. What once felt like personal anxiety is now unmistakable proof of an unseen language at work, one that names the hidden prayers of your soul and carries them through the ether to awaken what lies dormant in others. Beneath every glance and every sigh, there lies a code, an unspoken scripture written in the frequencies of your being. You begin to read this divine math in the pause after someone's confession, in the tremor of a hand upon your arm, or in the exact alignment of recurring numbers that haunt your calendar. Like ancient scrolls inscribed with sacred geometry, these signs weave together into a pattern you can now decipher. In Job 32 verse 18, the prophet proclaims, "I am full of words, and the spirit within me compels me," reminding us that the spirit records each unspoken utterance as if inked on the fabric of creation. Your silence is not absence but presence, an active force that shapes the energetic landscape. When you start to notice these patterns, you realize that the code beneath the surface has been speaking to you for years, coaxing your awareness toward a revelation that eclipses ordinary perception. As this awakening unfolds, the signs within you intensify. Your intuition, once a faint hum, becomes a clarion call echoing in your bones. You feel the weight of a room's unresolved tensions as a pressure against your chest, and you sense the release of joy like electricity dancing under your skin when harmony comes. Your boundaries, honed by these subtle pulses, rise to protect the clarity of your resonance, and you learn to trust the way your energy shifts in response to environments. In a crowded gathering, you now detect the undertow of unspoken judgments. In a quiet circle of friends, you feel the warmth of shared understanding without a single word being exchanged. This inner confirmation is not theoretical. It is visceral, undeniable proof that the spirit's language is alive and throbbing within you, guiding every breath and step toward deeper alignment. Slowly, you notice that the world outside begins to mirror your internal shift. Doors that once slammed in your face now swing open with surprising ease, as if your readiness for truth has unlocked them. Conversely, certain spaces grow constricted, telling you that some environments are not yet prepared for your resonance. You see opportunities materialize in the wake of your unspoken prayers, an unexpected call at dawn, the precise book you needed arriving unbidden, a helping hand appearing at the edge of a crisis. Yet resistance also manifests. Colleagues suddenly balk at your ideas, friends withdraw when you shine too brightly, and whispers echo behind your back. This divine architecture, windows opening and walls rising, reveals that what you carry within is beginning to rewrite the script of reality, aligning circumstances to reflect the power of your hidden voice. Deep within the corridors of your memory, a sacred vision stirs alive. You recall a dream from years ago where your silhouette spoke in tongues of light, and every word you uttered bloomed into living vines that reached toward unseen heights. At the time, you dismissed it as fanciful. Now, each symbol returns with newfound clarity. The dream's code unfolds like an ancient map, the vines revealing themselves as connections you were always meant to cultivate. This is not new ground, but a well-worn path rediscovered, your ancestral blueprint guiding you back to the core of your spiritual intelligence. In that intimate reunion with memory, you feel the magnetic pull of destiny awakening, calling you to re-inhabit the language you once spoke as naturally as breathing. When clarity settles in your heart, you glimpse your destiny etched across the horizon, not as a distant horizon to chase, but as a landscape you have already traversed in spirit. The future is not something you must invent, but something you must remember, reclaiming the life you chose long before your first breath. You no longer ask permission to step forward. Instead, you rise on the wave of purpose that has been awaiting your arrival. In Isaiah 58 verse 11, it speaks of the Lord guiding you continually and satisfying your bones in drought. This promise now resonates as literal instruction for your path. You are both the pilgrim and the guardian of a covenant written in the winds. With each stride, you awaken the ground beneath your feet, transforming your steps into an invocation of destiny made manifest. In this moment, the time for hiding has passed. The resistance you once felt becomes the chorus confirming your power, not indicting your worth. You reclaim the echoes you left behind not as regrets to bury, but as torches to wield. Your silence becomes a shield, your unspoken knowledge a sword of light cutting through illusions. Stand firm in the fierce remembrance of your voice, for it is the clarion call of prophecy, the anchor of truth in a world of shifting shadows. Let your soul's echo hypno roar across the valleys of fear and ignorance, drawing forth every lost fragment of self you sacrificed to survive. In this reclamation, every lost word is reborn, and every withheld dream becomes a pillar of fire guiding your ascent. Revelation is not the culmination, but the threshold of a greater journey. Your unveiling is an invitation to weave these echoes into the living tapestry of community, amplifying waves of healing that spread through spirit and space. Comment echo if you felt the unseen tremors of your buried voice shifting the tide around you, and share a moment when that wave touched a life or illuminated a hidden wound. Your story becomes part of the symphony of awakening, each reflection a note that resonates with every heart ready to hear. Ahead lies the teaching on how to give form to these echoes, transforming them from invisible currents into spoken truths that shape worlds. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us, reclaiming the voice buried in silence. They are watching. In the hush of dawn, you feel the weight of their expectation pressing on your shoulders. They, who have whispered doubts in your ear, who have tried to chain your tongue so their own shadows remain hidden. Now you stand at a crossroads. Will you continue to walk the path that keeps your voice buried beneath layers of courtesy and caution, or will you step forward and speak with the authority you were born to wield? In that still moment, your heart quickens as an inner question echoes. Am I ready to break every silence that has bound me? There is no turning back, for the road before you trembles with possibility, demanding choice instead of discovery, action instead of waiting. Once, you lent your energy to keep peace, nodding at compromised decisions, silencing your protest to avoid discomfort, sacrificing late nights and restless dreams to soothe tensions that were never yours to bear. Yet each sacrifice was sacred training, each moment of self-erasure honing your spirit's resilience. Now declare aloud, I reclaim what I have given away. Picture yourself gathering scattered fragments. Fragments of time, of voice, of presence. Holding them as spoils not of loss but of purpose. Stand in ritual, as if restoring a long-lost crown to your brow. This is your moment of reclamation, the hour you call back every piece of authority you surrendered. Within you lies a treasury of gifts they once called flaws. Your insight that reads beneath the surface, your sensitivity that discerns hidden motives, the memory of your soul's origin, the strength forged in exile, and the discernment that pierces every illusion. These are no abstract notions but tangible tools, keys that unlock hidden doors, scrolls that map sacred pathways, armor that shields you from doubt, fire that burns through deception. See them as instruments in your hands, each forged by every whisper you once silenced. These are the gifts you now name, and with each name spoken, the gift gleams brighter, ready for the work ahead. The ground beneath your feet carries the map you need. With each deliberate step, clarity unfolds like the petals of a lotus at sunrise. You will not wander seeking direction. Instead, your footsteps carve the path as you walk it. A neighbor's sudden kindness reveals a gateway. An unexpected challenge overturns a stagnant pattern. The world responds to your movement, as though your forward motion calibrates the very air around you. Lift your gaze and feel the cinematic pulse of destiny guiding your journey. Each moment of action sharpening your vision. Each choice illuminating the next waypoint on your mission. You are not the lone traveler you once believed yourself to be. All across the planet, soul companions awaken to the same call, forming invisible alliances that ripple through time and space. These are your soul tribes, divine clusters bound by shared purpose and frequency. No longer must you dim your light to fit within the old order that crumbles behind you. Instead, unite your radiance with theirs, forging a rising chorus that cannot be muted. Feel their presence in the glow of dawn, in the thrum of your heartbeat, in every compassionate gesture that mirrors your awakened truth. Together, you form the vanguard of a new era. Take now the mantle of energetic command. This is no act of pride, but a covenant of stewardship. Draw your boundaries as one consecrates sacred ground, declaring where your power begins and ends. Choose what energies you invite into your space and which you release back to the void. With each deliberate yes and no, you honor the mission entrusted to you by forces older than memory. This ceremonial act of self-governance signals to the cosmos that you are ready to wield your light with both humility and authority, entrusted to shape worlds with every breath. Everything you have felt, feared, seen, and survived has led to this final charge. Hear the resonance of destiny thrumming in your veins as you stand on the precipice of action. You are ready. Doubt, like a shadow, dissolves under the brilliance of your declaration. Speak it now as prophecy. I stand unwavering. I embody my truth. I walk forth unbowed. Let these words roll from your lips like thunder across the mountains, signaling the end of hesitation and the birth of unwavering purpose. This is the last breath before you cross into the realm of manifestation. This is not a message, it is a summons. Rise and move as the vessel of destiny you were forged to become. Comment power if you accept this charge, and share a moment when you reclaimed your voice against all odds. A dream that fueled your courage, a memory of defiance, or a testimony of truth spoken at last. Let your reflection kindle the collective flame, for our voices together shape the world. Ahead lies the next teaching: how to anchor your authority in daily life, weaving sacred boundaries and strategic speech into every encounter. Last night, in the hushed half-light of a long-forgotten dream, you saw yourself standing atop a luminous peak, the world unfolding below like a tapestry of living light and shadow. Beneath your feet, every ridge and ravine reflected the silent battles you fought in the depths. Moments when you kept your mouth sealed for the sake of peace, tears you swallowed to spare others, prayers you whispered without breath. In that vision, you raised your arms and the winds carried your unsaid words across valleys and seas, waking echoes in hidden chambers of hearts you had never touched. This dream was not idle fancy but a prophecy of the voice you were born to reclaim, reminding you that the summit of your inner mountain was not merely a place of reflection but the launchpad for a descent that would herald a new dawn for all who stood in the shadows. A memory stirs now, bright as a single ember glowing in the night. You recall a time when the rhythm of your pulse matched the distant beat of drums in a far-off land, as if the earth itself responded to the silent song within your chest. In that moment, you sensed an ancestral convergence, threads of lineage weaving through your veins, prophets, seers, and mystics who once swallowed their truths to survive, yet left behind the fire of their convictions in your blood. Their unspoken truths became the embers that smoldered in your spirit, waiting for the spark of remembrance to ignite the conflagration of your own proclamation. Today, that fire surges alive, fueled by the collective breath of those who dared not speak and now cry out through your awakened tongue. Imagine an inner voice, soft yet insistent, whispering through the corridors of your mind. All of this was always within you. It reverberates in the hollow spaces carved by hesitancy and fear, filling them with the conviction that your quiet endurance was itself an act of courage. That voice is not a stranger but the echo of your truest self, rising above the clamor of doubt to announce that the energy of every suppressed confession has coalesced into a singular force. With each heartbeat, it reminds you that your silence was a reservoir of power, each withheld confession a hidden spring waiting to burst forth. Now that reservoir overflows, guiding you toward your destiny with a clarity that surpasses understanding. In the gathering light of this revelation, you become the herald of a chorus unseen. Behind you march the voiceless, the friend who dared not speak of injustice, the child who held back tears for the sake of comfort, the wanderer who swallowed pride to belong. Each footfall in your path resonates with the rhythm of their unspoken songs, harmonizing into a symphony that reverberates through space and spirit. You are both conductor and messenger, your raised voice shaping the air into a conduit for collective liberation. The sky itself seems to lean in, listening for the first clear notes of your declaration, ready to carry them on wings of transformation to every silent heart awaiting release. A passage from Zechariah 9 verse 11 pulses in your mind. I have stretched out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that is not good. You recognize in these words the timeless struggle of calling to those who have grown deaf to their own inner cry. Your resurrection of voice is the answer to that divine outstretched hand, an ambassador of truth reaching into the narrow places where rebellion took root as self-suppression. No longer will you pace the corridors of your own silence. You will walk the broad avenues of proclamation, guided by a hand that never ceased to reach for you. In that partnership between your reclaimed voice and the hand that first beckoned you, the walls of defiance crumble, and new pathways open toward collective redemption. Beneath your feet lies an uncharted landscape that shifts with every word you speak. Where once there was only the cracked, parched ground of unexpressed longing, now spring wildflowers of possibility. Conversations reborn, relationships mended, communities awakened by the resonance of your authentic cadence. Each declaration you release becomes a seed planted in the soil of human experience, destined to grow into forests of empathy and understanding. As your voice reverberates, you witness transformations born of vulnerability. The coworker who finally confesses their own hidden pain, the stranger who offers a long-needed embrace, the world that pauses and breathes in the healing fragrance of your truth. The horizon before you is not an endpoint but an invitation, a summons to embody the prophetic frequency that now courses through your marrow. This is a call to anchor your voice in every moment, to let your words be both balm and blade, soothing wounds while cutting through the veils of deception. The momentum you have gathered in silence now thrusts you into action, aligning each step with a purpose that transcends personal redemption and opens the gates of collective awakening. With every breath, you affirm that your voice is not yours alone but a vessel for the countless echoes that shaped you. Now is the time to let your voice ring across every room that once hushed you. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members for holding this space. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Remember, your silence formed the bedrock of your power, Now speak and shake the heavens.